Today we've got a great show for you. We're going to talk about blueberries, and I'm excited about the blueberries because it's one of my favorite fruits. We're going to talk a little bit about the benefits, the nutrition part of it. We're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our agriculture and natural resource agent. He's going to tell you how to take care of those blueberries. He's going to show you how to prune them, plant it, and hopefully this will make you want to go out and buy that blueberry bush if you don't have one already in your backyard. And we just planted a bunch in our backyard. I'm so excited waiting for them to come and bring that fruit on so I can have my first blueberry in my backyard. I'm going to come back and tell you all the good things about blueberries. See you in a minute. Welcome back to Garden Delights. I hope you enjoy the show today. We're going to talk now about those blueberries and what makes blueberries so good for us. Blueberries are high in vitamin C, which is a plus. But one thing that's very good about them is their antioxidants, one of the best capacities of all the fruits. So if you don't have blueberries on your list at the grocery store, put them on there, because once I tell you all the good things about it, you'll want it on your list. They also boost our immune system. And I know when the seasons change, we pick up different virals, or we get a cold and we wonder why, we're eating something right. Well, the blueberries can help us with that immune system. So remember that when you're looking for fruit to buy this coming weekend. They're high in fiber, and we all need fiber in our diet. Not only the fiber part of it, but it helps with the bad cholesterol, the cholesterol we're all looking to try to get rid of. It's a great dietary supplement because of that. So if you're looking for ways to think about not having to take those vitamins and things like that, blueberries are your supplement that you can take and eat, and hopefully help with your system, and also to help you with your digestive part of it, your immune system, and it will just boost our brains. So that's the good thing about blueberries. It does boost our brains. So I can definitely say berries do a body good. So let's talk a little bit now about how to select those blueberries. When we're selecting our blueberries and you're buying them at the store, make sure that you pick your container up. And if you can roll it to side, you want to make sure the berries are loose, because that tells you they're fresh. You don't have any damaged ones in that container that you're buying. Now, if you're picking your own, you have all control over it, so you can pick the best of the blueberries when you're picking your own. When you're looking at your blueberries, you can see that blueberries are very plump. They are full. When you're looking at them, and blueberries have like a dusty look, because they have a dusty look on this blue. It's not really a bright blue. So you're looking for that when you're looking for your blueberries to make sure you're picking the best for your selection. Now let's talk about storing those blueberries. The best thing about blueberries is they store in your refrigerator 10 to 14 days. And that's a great period, because if you hadn't eaten them by the 10 to 14 days, you can freeze them, and we're going to talk about that too. So that's the average of what you're going to store them in your refrigerator. Now let's say that I want to freeze them. They freeze very well. And I'm going to talk about that because there's something very important that we do not want to do when we're freezing. We don't want to wash them. What you want to do with your blueberries is you want to make sure you don't see any stems, any trash, any imperfect berry that doesn't look really good. You want to make sure that you're looking through them when you're shifting through to make sure, just so you have all good berries when you're freezing them. These berries will freeze, and they will freeze for about 8 to 12 months. So you've got about that average. And after 8 months, they're okay. It's just that the longer you keep a berry frozen, the quality is not going to be as good. So just remember that when you're freezing them. I like to freeze mine on a cookie sheet or some kind of tray that you might have in your kitchen, and just freeze them just a little bit. And once you freeze them just a little bit, then you're ready to put them in some kind of freezer container bag. So that's how you freeze them, and that's really important that you do it correctly. Now let's talk about these blueberries as far as, a lot of people want to know about, on the average, if you're trying to diet and you want to know how many you can eat as far as how many calories. Well, I want you to know that I counted them, and about 50 blueberries make about a half a cup, and that's about 40 plus calories. But a cup of blueberries, and actually this is a little over a cup just to show you, 1 cup equals 83 calories. And 50 like I said, it's going to be around 40 so. So you're trying to figure out what you want to pop into your mouth. They're great for popping in your mouth, or you can use them for a recipe. But on the average, that's what you're going to get out of a cup of berries is about 83 calories. So you can see that they're great. They're very low in calories, no cholesterol, fat-free, so sodium-free. All this is important when we're looking at our blueberries.
After a while, we're going to eat a blueberry dish, but right now we're going to talk about growing blueberries. If you're going to grow blueberries, it's really important that you do a soil sample because blueberries like to grow in acid soil. So they want the pH to be around 4.8 to 5.3, somewhere in that neighborhood. If the pH is too high, you can bring it down with a little bit of sulfur, but it's easier to do that before you plant the blueberries than it is after you plant them. So soil test is important. Preparing your site before you plant them is also important. Blueberries like a low pH, but they don't like to grow in red clay. So when we're planting blueberries around here, we're going to improve our organic matter in our soil a little bit. I've got some sphagnum peat moss here. The reason I'm going to use peat moss is because peat moss has a low pH on its own, so it won't affect my low pH of my soil. And we're going to incorporate some organic matter. We want to dig a big hole so our plant's got lots of room to expand. I'm just going to put some of this dirt in this wheelbarrow right here where we're digging this hole. Get it prepared to make a good bed for this plant to grow in. When you're amending your soil with something like this, you want to be careful not to put too much organic matter, because if you put too much organic matter, then you're going to run the risk of having a site that dries out too quickly and won't maintain enough moisture. So we're going to mix some of this sphagnum peat moss into this dirt right here and try to maintain about 50-50. We want about 50% peat moss. We can take our hoe and we can mix this in until we get it the right consistency for. I wet the peat moss because it's a little easier to work with when it's wet than it is when it's dry. So we're going to get this incorporated in here good. Get the organic matter worked in there. Then I'm going to take a little bit of aged cow manure, add a little bit of that in there. It's getting us a good bed here to grow our blueberries in. So added some organic matter. Now we got some manure in there in the mix. Okay, and keeping, again, like I said, a good consistency with our normal soil, so we don't build a bed here that dries out too fast. Now I'm going to take the blueberry plant, and this particular blueberry plant, as you can see, it's a little dried out, and we're going to break up these roots. We're going to try not to use these ants that are crawling around on it, but I'm going to soak it a little bit here, and I'm going to spread the roots out, because this one is a little bit pot bound. I want to get it where it's going to, these roots are going to be able to take off and spread out in this hole. We're digging a oversized hole, so we got plenty of room to get the plant going. So I'm going to let it be about like that for what we're doing here. Then I want to plant it the same height that it is in the pot here. Don't want to plant it too low, don't want to plant it too high. I may if I think it's going to settle, I may plant it ½ inch or so high and counting on it settling out a little bit. So I'm going to get some of my soil here, put it in the bottom. I want to get my height right. And then we'll bring some more of this mixture that we've got here to plant this plant with, and we'll put it around it. You want to pack it down in there some. And that's giving it a good bed to grow in. I want to get it packed down. When we finish here, we'll get some water and water it good. We're not going to fertilize this plant when we first plant it. We're just going to let it get started, let it get growing. We come back in a month or two and put a little bit of 10-10-10 around it, not more than a couple of spoons full per plant to start with. Now that we got our planting in the ground, something to think about when you're planting new blueberries, you've got to get that root system established. So you don't want the plant to be trying to grow blueberries the first year. It may be year number 3 before you really harvest any blueberries off of this plant. But we got to have a good root system or we won't make it to year number 3. So I'm going to prune some off of this blueberry now. You can cut as much as a third of it back, just shortening it up and have it not have so much load on top. Some of these low branches down here can just be gone for right now. And we will just trim it back. And now it sits here and grows. I don't want it to bloom. If it tries to bloom, I want to come in and pick the blooms off of it. And so this is how I'm going to leave it. No blooms, ready to grow a root system. And like I said, we'll come back in about a month. We'll put a little bit of fertilizer around it just to keep it going through the summer. We'll keep it watered. If you're planting blueberries and you've got a low spot, blueberries don't like to have wet feet. So if you have a low spot, you need to build up a hill and raise the blueberry up a little bit so it doesn't sit in the water. If you don't have a hill situation, you can plant them flat like we did this one. But those are just some things to keep in mind as you're trying to grow a good, healthy blueberry plant. Usually you would prune a blueberry in a real early spring. Blueberries produce berries on last year's wood, so anytime you prune them, you're going to lose a few berries. But we're here in the late spring, and I'm going to be careful here not to cut too many blueberries off of this tree. But the first thing you can do when you start pruning your blueberries is take a look at them, and anything that you got growing in there that's not a blueberry, cut it down first. That's easy. You don't have to worry about making any mistakes or anything. So if it's not a blueberry, like this little gum tree right here, we can just take it out of here and get it out of the way to start with. Now we want to start looking at dead wood. We got some branches here that are dead. This whole piece right here has got very few blueberries on it, but we can start here and start taking some of these dead branches off of here. and get it. This one's got a lot of dead on it right here. So we'll bring some of these out. This is also a place that's really crowded. We got a lot of dead wood and a lot of stuff in here that's rubbing on each other, anything that's interfering. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to rake all the debris out from under the tree. We want all these limbs that we cut off, all these little blueberries that got on the ground, because a lot of the diseases that blueberries get, they will overwinter on the ground underneath the tree. So you want to clean that out, and after you clean it out, we're going to come back in here and put some mulch around it to control the moisture. But I'm going to get all of this stuff out of here that we put on the ground while we were doing our pruning, and just clean it out good as we can. And we'll get rid of all this. We'll put this in a pile and we'll burn it along the way here. So once we've done that, we'll take our mulch and we'll come around the tree with it. And then I'll take my rake, and like we said, about 3 inches deep around the tree. Don't let it get right up against the base of the tree, but build it up in here so that you get a nice circle of mulch coming around the tree. And that, like I say, that controls our weeds, takes care of our moisture retention, weed control. So that's about what it looks like. We could probably put another bag in there, but that's what the general idea of what you want to do. Let's go eat some blueberries.
I hope you learned a lot of good information from Frank and how to plant that blueberry and how to prune it, and I hope that you're thinking about buying that blueberry bush now that you've heard all that good information. We're going to talk now about that easy blueberry pie, and let me tell you, this recipe is so simple. So you have somebody coming over, you need a pie really quick, this is about the easiest pie you can make. And not only that, but I try to make it as low as calories as I can on the blueberries. Now, I talked about freezing them, and I said don't wash them before you freeze them. And I said if you do that, you're going to have probably a tough skin when you take those blueberries out. But I want you to know that these were frozen, and I have washed them. And you can see, once you wash them, look at the difference in ones that are washed than not. You have that dusty look like I was talking about earlier. So we're going to use those to decorate with. But these have been washed, and this is what I'm going to use in the recipe. And this is about 2 cups of blueberries. So just to get an average of what it would look like, that's about 2 cups. Now the recipe, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you in this recipe that you can do 1.5 cups to 2 cups. So it really depends on how much blueberries you want in the pie. So let's go through this and put the pie together, and hopefully this is going to be a pie that you're going to write down really quick, because it's a really quick one. Of course, you're going to see it on the TV at the very end, but I do want you to know how quick it is. We're going to start off with the condensed milk. This is 1 can of condensed milk, and so I'm just going to go ahead and dump this in the base of this bowl here and try to keep from sticky with my hands with this. You know, blueberries are so good that you can do so many good things with them. You can make parfaits with yogurt and stick your blueberries on top. You can take just granola cereal and put your blueberries on top. So they're just really easy to do. This is lemon juice. This is 1/2 cup of lemon juice. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to the liquid also. All right, so we've got 1 can of condensed milk. We've got our 1/2 cup of lemon juice. And now I told you that you can do as much as you want as far as the blueberries. The recipe calls for 1.5 to 2 cups. I'm going full speed ahead. After I talked about how good those blueberries are, we're going with those 2 cups. So I am going to use a spoon with this because, like I said, I washed them. So I'm going to try to keep some of the juice from the base off of it because it's going to turn, if I don't, turn the pie totally blue. But we're going to just go ahead and put those in. And these were frozen. So as I was telling you, you can use fresh or frozen with this recipe. Depends on, what you're getting at that time. If they're peak season, the peak season for blueberries is going to be around June to July. Depending on our weather, if it's not too dry, we get a lot of rain, they could still go into August. So, and I always tell everybody, buy when it's in peak, the price is going to be right. So just remember that. When you're buying your fruit, try to buy it in the peak time. And just remember, most every fruit out there, you can freeze it to prolong it. So in other words, you could freeze these and then you could come back and make this pie anytime during the year. I'll wipe my hands off just a little bit. All right, so we have that. And the last part that we're going to add, which is really easy, is Cool Whip. And this is an 8-ounce Cool Whip. So we're going to go ahead and add it to all the ingredients. So it's only like 4 ingredients that you need to make this pie. It's very, very simple, but it's very tasty also. See if I can scoop all that out. And if you're trying to watch your weight and you're looking for, Cool Whip comes in different ways. You can get regular, low fat, or you can get fat free. So it really just depends on you on what you're looking for. So, that's where you can cut your calories. You're going to see the calories for this dessert, but I want to make sure that you're seeing that you can cut the difference in your calories. So what I'm going to do is just stir this all around. And I did use, for the condensed milk, I went all the way for that when I did use the fat-free. So I'm going to tell you that the recipe is going to say fat-free for this, and that's what I used. If you don't like the fat-free, you can use the regular. So what we're doing is we're just stirring this all together to make sure it's well blended. And what you do is once it's well blended, you're going to take this and you're going to put it into a graham cracker crust pie shell. Now, you can buy them at the grocery store, and some of them are regular and some of them are low fat. So usually if I buy it at the grocery store, I go with the low fat. But today, I decided that I was going to make my own graham crackers. So you can see you can make your own, and then you have control on your graham crackers too, because you know what's in it. So that's another thought too. And it was so easy to make. I just used a little bit of butter, and you can use a little bit of sugar if you're diabetic. I used a low-fat graham cracker. You could also use some type of sugar substitute in your graham cracker crust also. So this is well blended, and as you can see, I'm just going to stir it just a little bit more, and I can see those blueberries all covered up. This is where you definitely want to stick your finger in and try it, especially if you're at home. So this is my crust, and I'm going to just set it to the side so I can make sure I hit it all into it. And all you're going to do is to put this into the pie crust, and we're going to decorate a little bit with those blueberries. Now, this is blueberries. Think about strawberries. We talked about strawberries in other shows. If you love strawberries, you can change this recipe and add strawberries. You can do strawberries and blueberries together if you wanted to. Peaches are going to be coming up soon. You could do peaches in this recipe also. So don't think that you just got to have this with blueberries. When I put this together, we had blueberries, so I tried the blueberries. So I'm going to set this down. And we're just going to kind of make sure that the blueberries hit all out to the side of that pie. And I'm going to smooth it just a little bit with my other one, just to make sure we have it all the way out and see a little bit of those blueberries. And as you can see, this is so simple. And now I'm going to decorate with these blueberries. And these blueberries, you want to make sure that when you're decorating that you can however you want to. I'm just going to kind of just so people know that these are blueberries. That so when they're eating their pie, they're eating a blueberry pie. So same thing with the other fruit that you're using. You could trade out and use something else. And I feel like I'm getting it on my fingers, which I am. So we're just going to put them out. Also, this pie has to be frozen about on the average of 5 hours just to make it firm. So we're looking, at about that time to freeze it. So you're looking at about 5 hours to freeze it. It's just going to get firm. And then you're ready to take it out, cut it up, and serve it to your company, to your family, or whoever is coming over your next time and you're wanting a pie. Very easy to make. As you can see, easy blueberry pie. We're going to come back and let Frank try our easy blueberry pie, and hopefully he'll like it as much as my family does. Welcome back to Garden Delights. We have Frank with us, and we're going to try our easy blueberry pie. And hopefully, Frank, you're going to like it.
All right.
It's, like I said, it was very easy, and I'm going to try my best to get it out of this container here because it needed to be frozen just a little bit longer, but I think we'll be okay if I can just work it a little bit.
All right. If you can't get it, I'll get a spoon and we'll take care of that.
I've got to make sure that you get some of this homemade graham cracker crust. I'm just going to go with this one real quick.
I believe that'll work.
How about that? I'm going to switch up with you. Thank you. We're going to go the same way again. I'm going to work it out. Because I got to have some crust too. We all have to have crust a little bit.
All right, let me see.
Really firm when I was packing it in there. But you tell me what you think. Is it any good?
It's good.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the graham cracker? Pretty good?
You know, blueberries are good on almost anything that you put them on.
They really are. They really are.
They're kind of like mustard. Anything you put mustard on is good.
My husband would definitely say that you can put mustard on just
But I
about
think
anything.
blueberries are actually better.
I do too. What do you think about the lemon juice in it?
It's good. It's just right. As a matter of fact.
It's very good. Hopefully, you'll see it on the website. You'll say it's just as good as what we think. Just remember, blueberries are great for you. One good thing about blueberries, you can keep them frozen. Come in and wash just a little bit of them, pop them in your mouth. They'll cool you off this summer when you're really hot, when you're mowing that yard, or you just need something to pep you up and boost that brain up.
And if I was going to do one, I would have done it just like this.
Good. We'll see you next time on Garden Delights.